The next step was to work on some gore for the grot that we were making. The way that I work on the gore is that you need to make sure that for all of the kind of goopy bits that spread out from the main body of the gore as it splatters, it always has something at the end of it, so it's heavier on the outside. It's like a big, large droplet. There's something heavier at the end, and that's the reason that it's going faster than the rest of the blood and gore that you're sculpting. So you always want to make sure there's like a bit more material at the very end of the longer like splatters to just make it look more convincing. I sculpt a couple of these onto the base. Once they set, I'm going to then add the extra texture onto the back before I attach them to the miniature itself. Once I've made 3 of these, I've decided that will suffice, and I go back to the miniature and I start adding some green stuff for the hair, like I had mentioned earlier, really focusing on making sure I get the hairline right. I then also add some green stuff onto the back of the Gretchen and just trying to fill out all the gaps between the arms and the head and the bottom of the body. Also, trying to add a little bit of texture for where the skin has ripped so that we don't have the clean cuts of the plastic, but it looks like there's like the flesh tearing from the chainsaw. Once the gore that we had made earlier had set, I remove it from the base and start playing around with the positioning of it and how I'm going to have it attached to the goblin. But before we can attach anything for sure, I have to add the little bit of texture and shape onto the back of the gore that we made. When choosing the placement for the little splatters of gore, I was trying to think about the different cracks and places where the chainsaw was reaching and where the blood would essentially be squirting out from. Again, apologies for the gore, but again, I think it's kind of fun. Essentially, I have it coming out of the crack in his neck as well as underneath the chainsaw, and then in behind where the chainsaw is splitting through his back. Just attaching that with a little bit more green stuff to set it in place.